there. Okay, so I decided to go back to this chapter with ellipses to explain like subdivision of ellipse in perspective. So you see, it's kind of good example where it's like test of your understanding on the previous chapters of Scott Robertson, because what we have like before, it was this like very first exercise about drawing ellipses, minor and major axis, right? So minor axis should subdivide ellipse in halves. Okay, so then we have this exercise, like you draw ellipses in perspective with the minor axis as a kind of like a z axis. So then here he like go a little more in depth. Yeah, like here's this chapter. He explained about all kind of three-dimensionality of ellipse. Alright, so should be clear. But okay, maybe I can quickly recap this stuff. So ellipse, let's take this. So ellipse, it's a circle in perspective, right? So we have circle. So like when you look in straight, it's perfect circle. When according to camera, according to viewer, you start to rotate, right? So now it's not zero angle. Now it start to have some angle, and the ellipse start to squeeze, right? So shorter area, like this shorter area here, it's called minor axis, like center line from in the shorter side. This it's a major axis. Okay, same like if it rotates this way, so then this will be now minor axis, and this will be major axis. Very convenient it's to also remember this Green's cubes. So in Green's cubes we take cube which with zero angle, like when it's just looking straight at you, like front facade, it's look like a square, right? When it's like rotated 22.5 degree to right, we start to see second side appear, like left side or right side, we call it. Then 45 degree, we'll have two sides, like equally exposed. So, and here what is important also to learn is this two axes of circle have these 4 points, like 4 peaks, right? These 4 peaks will be like middle points on the square sides. So when we look at this square facing without rotation, so we will have just normal circle. When we start to have rotation, we see how circle squeeze. So this circle now is 60, Good. Yeah, 60. Seven and 5. Yeah, this circle 67 and 5 angle, and here circle in this very narrow space will be 22 and half. So we have now two type of circles, two type of ellipses. You see here longer side, it's a major axis, shorter side, minor axis. This collect degree of ellipse, right? So this is 22 degree to 22 and a half, this 67.5 degree. So here we will have two 45 degree ellipse, right? So it's like different ratio for ellipse. So also it's like when I was talking about horizon line, so it's like if we have ellipse like this on the horizon line, it will look like a flat line, just a line from point to point, right? So we don't see any curve, any ellipse, like this. When it moves lower horizon line, we start to see ellipse. We start to see minor and major axis, right? So it's more. So like lower from horizon line, we'll have like bigger degree ellipse. So also you can, how can you measure it is like you look for this ratio between, like difference between minor and major axis. So what's difference? So look like here, this long minor axis and this long major axis, right? So when it's a zero angle, when it's like this, so minor and major, they're equal, right? So then this is how you can track it, right? Also, Scott Robertson mentioned this tool you can buy in some art shop. So here is a set with ellipses with particular degree. So it's already like very precise. So let's say, so you can see like a 60 degree. So for example, like if I want to draw like a super precise degree, and here I have this 4 point, whoop, I can connect these points. So this will be 60 degree and etc. So he like have his video showing how he drew wheels with using this. For example, stick. So also he mentioned, it's like important nuance here, for a wheel, it's like it's 2 different degree, because it's already a little change kind of angle according to viewer. So this I just did, it was 26, and for outside it was 34. Because why like this? Why it's changed degree? Because horizon line, remember, horizon line is eye level. So with ellipses and boxes and cubes, ellipses, cubes, circles, all the stuff, it's first of all, it's about camera, about observer. So imagine like here, like standing this, you looking straight, right? So it's your eye level. So on your eye level, let's see. Just go to show better. Okay. Anyway, like with 90-degree can show. So when we have flat circle here, it will look like a line. But when we have like flat circle here, you will see it from 45 angle, right? Because in your field of view, it's 45 angle according to your like line of sight. Okay, so it works vertically this way. So it's like when you look here, right, 45, yeah, will be about here. So it's also work like a perspective grid, because this way we establish space. Kind of I show in angles, I show in space with ellipses, right? So we can feel how surface change. So here is like looking straight forward, and here 45 degree below my direction of sight, like, or direction of camera, if like you point camera there. But within your camera field of view, it can be also like something which is in the 45 angle to this camera. So because, you know, it's still in the side frame. And same like if you make fish eye, so you can put like 90 degree. So somewhere here we will have like absolutely like full circle, and it's mean like here will be like station point. So this is where observer or camera is standing. So it's right below, right under camera. So here, right? So and same work horizontally. So here we have like your, let's say, draw from top view, right? Like top. So here is you, your feet, and here is direction of your camera or eyesight. So when we have like ellipse, flat circle this way, it look like a line. If I move this circle to 45 degree, I move it left, in my field of view it will be like 45 degree to my direction of line of sight. So I will see, in this case, it will look like kind of this, right? So it will be like 45 degree ratio ellipse. So it's important understand. It's kind of interesting nuance, which kind of might be confusing for a first time, right? It's very important to realize here that what we see with degrees in the boxes, in the cubes and the ellipses, it's about direction of camera, direction of observer. So if it's like this, like, so we know it's a circle facing you like this, so it means it's showing you where is camera center. Okay, or if you know it's like one ellipse here is camera center, so you know it's facing camera, right, facing viewer, but then here it's more to the right and it's still zero angle without rotation. So it means in this case it means it's facing viewer, facing observer. So here it's this way, here is this way, because if it's not kind of following, like pointing towards observer, we will see it with a 45 degree. It will be like more squash. So if it's just keep like same direction, but it just move to the right, so we will see how it's became like more and more angle, because it's to our direction of sight, its angle became bigger and bigger, right? So this angle will be greater. So this kind of how it works, interesting principle. So you can exercise with this ellipses doing Korean's cubes again. And yeah, I think let's also clarify again, like how in XYZ. So here, flat surface, just square and circle in a square, we have only 2 dimensions. So it's like Z and X. Okay. If we add third dimension, Y, right? So let's say, so here will be Y, vertical dimension, Z, and X, right? So, and now in this 3D space, Y-axis, let's take this, Y-axis will become minor axis for ellipse. So in this scenario, so if I have here, for example, I draw square in this perspective grid, right? So we have ZZ, XX, we have this 4 points, which also X and Z, and then we draw ellipse. So you see now this y-axis it's a minor axis for ellipse. So this should be very, very clear. It's important. And actually Scott Robertson, he mentioned it here. Okay, you see, and here also, yeah, very good example. So minor axis, it's a key. Okay, so this minor axis in a 3-dimension minor axis is like an axle on which this wheel of a circle is kind of attached, you know. So in this example, this minor axis is y, but it can be in different situations it will be z or x, so it's not important. So important is just like it's a minor axis always kind of like it's aligned with perspective grid axis, or it's axis which is in 3D space, and this axis have a 90-degree relation with other axis. So again, let's say, so let's take just a random minor axis for ellipse, right? So this will be a 90-degree to major axis and 90-degree to kind of box side, to square side. So let's say so we can draw the box as a square. So here 90-degree to, you see, so because this how XYZ they always work. So ellipse have its own XYZ, like, which is always 3 axes with 90-degree relationship to each other. So they're perpendicular to each other. So you should remember it, kind of keep this solid structure every time, don't break it. It's not like a random directions, they always solid. So basically also it's kind of you draw an ellipse, but it have properties of a cube. So like I was talking in some of my very basic tutorials, like perspective for beginners, XYZ, 3D, it's a cube, right? It's a box. So that's why it's like you can do like exercise Kranz cubes, or you can just like draw different cubes and exercise drawing ellipses in these cubes. It's just important, it's like many of these nuances. It's at first time you can very easy to kind of like overlook, like miss some very tiny detail. It seems like some kind of tiny nuance, right? But it's crucial. So every this nuance, if you don't get it, you will struggle with ellipses. You will kind of really not understand how it works. So it's totally fine to get back couple times to this chapter about ellipses. Just make sure you really understand like why it should be a certain way, like kind of nature of this minor and major axis, because it's kind of tricky, and you better do it many times, like review, reread, and kind of learn to test and check yourself. Don't kind of jump in the conclusion, like don't try to feel smart and stuff, right? No, better double check, better think like you're not smart enough. So you need to check if you really understand how it works, because most likely like everyone not understand it from a first or maybe 3 attempts 3 times. So you will help yourself if you like in the first week you will come back from time to time to reread this, draw, and see like, oh, why it's not work. You go back and read again. It's like, I missed this point, this detail. So another trick with these ellipses is that in a perspective we have these 4 points, right? In a perspective. But trick is ellipse, it's always symmetrical. So let's say if I draw major and minor axis, you see ellipse always have its own center and it's always symmetrically subdivided. So we have like 2 halves, like equal halves, and we have like 4 equal quarters. Always, no matter what degree ellipse it is, it's always will be symmetrical. So we have like center and we have halves and quarters absolutely equal. But in a square is not this way, right? Because we know it's like one side is bigger, farther side is smaller. So you think like, oh, so ellipse should be like a kind of this way, right? When in reality you should kind of ellipse still will be attached to square. In the 4 points it's attached there, but ellipse center will be inside ellipse own structure, not inside square. So if square center is here, you see ellipse center is here. So this minor, major, and we have like 4 equal quarters. But then actually, like if we take like very extreme perspective, it's breaking this rule actually. So then in extreme perspective we start to have this kind of, whoa, so ellipse don't look ellipse anymore. I start to look something like this, you know. So and that's why it's kind of next level thing. It's first you need to learn how to draw proper ellipses and understand why they work this way, because most of your natural looking drawings will be based on these principles, like you draw in car, right? So this is what I was talking about, the looking wheels. Here, the 0 angle it's a circles. We rotate in car according to camera, right? Like I rotating it like 45 degree. We have 45 degree ellipses. So when you see 45 degree ellipse, and you know it's circle in the with the angle, right? So you can say this car is 45 angle to camera rotation. So now I have like 62 and 5 about rotation. So we have 62.5 degree ellipse. So did I have it here? Not sure. So, and etc. And same like vertical, right? So it's 0, about 45. So we have 45-degree ellipse telling us like exactly this car is rotated towards camera. Or we can say camera is kind of camera in the angle to objects of with a 45-degree. So it's like you can say object rotated to camera, or it's a camera angle. This kind of relativity here. So it's like, because if this is a street, you cannot say like I rotate street according to camera, right? So you will instead it's kind of you rotate camera like not parallel to street, but like 45-degree to the street. So and then we get this like 45-degree view. Or in the interior, like you inside some kind of dome, so it's have like this circle, like it's interior, it's a circle, right, from a top view, and your camera like standing here, kind of, right? So if it's like vertically 45, so now it's a camera 45 angle to the space, to this circle. So, and etc. kind of, right? So understand how it works. Same with motorcycle, like we have now, say it's standing 0-degree, right? So we're just looking directly to wheel, so it looks like circle. But this front wheel, we can rotate. So, okay, so I can say like exactly which angle I rotate, I turn this front fork. So it's 45-degree, because we see this ellipse is 45-degree. Okay. If little more than 45, stuff like this. And yeah, for example, also here we can see this what I was talking. So we have square in perspective, and if we look center of a square will be about here. So center of the ellipse, it's higher, but contact points of ellipses about center. Sorry, opposite. So this is center of the ellipse. And this center of a square. So contact point with the square is here, but center line of ellipse is here. Так. Anyway, so it's kind of tiny nuance, which also like freehand, you can be like, not always make it super clear, but technically when you draw, it's very, very important to understand like how they're related. So you need to understand that minor axis, it's one of dimension kind of, so it's a z, y, or x. So then every time you draw ellipse in perspective, you draw it three-dimensionally, right? So I know it's three-dimensional. And also like every time you draw particular degree of ellipse, you can say it's like, okay, this is like 30-degree ellipse, and you know what is mean. It's position according to camera, according to viewer. It's rotation. Okay, so now go to subdivision part.
Madness. This is Jane Bond art.
Okay, let's check questions. Last from Mars ask, how do I think about philosophy of using your shoulder to draw ellipses? No, it's not philosophy. It's just it's kind of I don't know, like normal practice. So up to you, actually. You know, it's like I cannot watch like when people, I don't know how they write like this, kind of holding pen, and it looks like incredible, like how they can write anything with holding pen like this, but work for them. So for how you hold pencil in art college where I was studying, yeah, it's like first thing they tell us, like don't hold it like this, because like in the school we were taught to hold pen this way. Problem with this, it's like you have very small range of movement, right? And also you tend to put your hand on a kind of on a surface, and now it really became stiff. So my kind of area of movement is just here, right? So this is my freedom. All my flexibility is a very small range. So if I work on detail, it's fine, right? So I can take paper to place my hand, so I will not like smudge everything. I place here and I work like very tiny details, like kind of character eyes or something, right? So it's fine, no problem with that. So but when I need to draw kind of a line, long line, yeah, it's more convenient to from this change to this, right? So, and you can kind of rotate it around like this. And in this case, you're not moving fingers, or you don't move in this. It's more about moving it from shoulder or from elbow, or like basically it's like even from shoulder. So when I draw like on a big walls, yeah, for sure I use in this approach. But again, if I use pen or marker, I cannot hold this way, because like if I take like no, it's a brush. It's like if I take marker this pen this way, it doesn't make any mark, right? So I kind of I have no much choice, so I need to keep using this way, but still I can like do it shoulder sometimes. So I just, in this case, I hover over paper without landing my arm. So again, it's important to understand why you draw with the shoulder or elbow. It's not kind of like you're no real artist if you're not drawing with your elbow. So whatever, do what you like. Так. Vorgio, watch my videos. I have so many videos. Just, I don't know, like I have video like all camera angles, and there have 0 vanishing point perspective grids. So it's like particularly it's like very famous for Katsuhiro Otomo in Akira. Like he has this like bird views, for example, done shots. Okay, let's cut again. So it was like answering comments, now drawing ellipses.
Subscribe, Keyboard Art. You now have 15 seconds to comply.
Okay, now let's talk about subdivision of ellipses and circles. So circle, again I will use this, so just be faster. So we have ellipse, circle. Circle is in a square, right? Also, what is circle? It's center. So we have like a center, and from center we have this line. So this line have like fixed length, right? Like I don't know, 1 centimeter, for example. And when we rotate this line around, we will get circle, right? So this kind of another property of ellipse. So it's contain like endless amount of lines of same length from a center, right? So you kind of move it like this and you get circle. This helps us to understand kind of how we subdivide an ellipse. So one way, like most kind of simple maybe, it's using square. So with the square we already have these 4 points, so we already kind of subdivided circle into 4 parts. Then in a square we have these corners, and if we connect corners so they go in through center of ellipse, so we will have more subdivision. So now we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 subdivision, right? So, and this is our 45-degree subdivision. So here we have like 90-degree, and here with these diagonal lines we have 45-degree subdivision. Second type, also kind of simple and convenient. It's if we subdivide square, we subdivide the square one more time, like this. So again we have first these 4 points, right? But then you can see we have intersection of these lines here. So now we have like I forget like which degree is this. So if like 90, 30, yeah, okay. So if this, for example, 0, here is 90 degree, so here will be 30, 60, right? So this way, with this approach, we subdivide ellipse with a 30 degree step. So here 45 degree step, like 45 degree slices, right? Here we have 30 degree slices, right? So it's just each of this point you can make a line to center. And you see how you redraw this in perspective. It's like you draw a square and you subdivide the square. And here you see it's 1/3. So we have this line, and 1/3 will be this point we need. Here this line, 1/3. This line, 1/3. This line, 1/3. And this center lines, like in the middle. Okay, so now we have all these points. We connect them and we have ellipse. It's also kind of using this approach to find ellipse in perspective. So one way you can just eyeball it, other way, this kind of more technical way how to build ellipse inside square in perspective. So, and here we have our subdivision. Now you make lines to center. So let's, whatever, can have like a very extreme. So in here will be this example, you know how ellipse look so real in kind of fisheye or extreme perspective. Так. So first as middle points, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Connecting dots. So, and then we have this subdivision from Scott Robertson book. So where he say like we're using like a major axis. We make this subdivision on 3 and 4. So let's see. So this part we subdivide on 3. This part subdivide on 4. So then this 1/4, 1/4, you draw line this way, and 1/3 subdivide here. So an intersection with circle will be your subdivision. So you just now connect again these lines to center. Yeah, and here it's interesting, it's like, will be like 62.5, I guess, about, yeah. Actually, like we can use calculator. So if we 1, 2, 5, 180 subdivide on 5. Okay, so it will be like 50. Okay, kind of about 55 degree. So just 55 and something. So again, you see 45 degree subdivision, 30 degree subdivision, for 55 degree subdivision. So, and also, of course, you can do it like upside down, right? So you can make like 3 parts here, 4 parts here. So yeah, and just to be honest, I always forget this thing, but I did this before, I draw it many times, so I know how to do it, and I can quickly remember it, you know. So like when I think like, oh my god, I forget how to make this Scott Robertson subdivision on the 5 equal parts, so I go open a book and say, okay, remember, that's it, you know. So it's just some kind of like a artist thing, I guess, being little slow with such stuff. So you know, actually, like people might think like, oh, this guy, he's like, for him perspective is very easy. No, it's like I'm very this kind of type who like just freehand drawing, just, you know, fluent intuitive drawing and stuff. But then I find it's like I really need to improve technical side. I really need to better understand perspective. I force myself. I struggle with this stuff. It was like a nightmare, like a torture. In the process, I learn how to enjoy it. That's it. You know, because there is like, you know, there is a pain when it's a harm, and there is a pain when it's just something you are not accustomed to do, right? So, and when you know it's good for you, this kind of skill you develop in, new habits, you can get through this discomfort, and then you will kind of, how it's called, break through, and you will discover you actually can enjoy it. It's actually fun. So now you're watching me on this stage when I having fun with perspective. In the beginning, it wasn't fun at all. It was like everybody experience. It was like, what the hell am I doing? I should be kind of artist, right? I should draw for fun and stuff. Instead, I sit here and struggle like with this. Yeah, it's just the first stage. Everybody has this struggle. So, and again, and also you can use this subdivision on a side, right? So, hope. So this is just this kind of cognitive illusion. Forget because, well, every time forgets the word. When people think from watching other people like do working with something fluently, they kind of tend to think it's because it's always been easy for him, right? When in reality, it's he just passed that stage and now it's easy kind of. Так, so, and also now you see how we do it in perspective and why it's this way. So, again, like we have this point. So here is my minor axis, here is a major axis, you see? So this again, this center, this kind of center of a square, but ellipse center is here. Так, so for subdivision, I need center of a square. Yeah, well, it's interesting detail. Let's check. So in this line, so it should be like X or Z, right? So here it's a Z. So when I draw this line, it will be following a Z axis. So if there vanishing point, if there is Z vanishing point, so they will go into Z vanishing point. If there this is kind of conversion, so it should be aligned with this conversion. Так. So then we have these points. Kind of interesting right now. What will happen if I make it this way? Or so 4 points. Yeah, okay, so yeah, this important moment, and I don't see he mentioned it clearly here. Okay, so what is interesting trick here? You see, again, for example, we have ellipse inside square, right? square kind of have points here, but ellipse is like this. So because these are z-axis, but here will be x-axis, let's say this way somewhere. Right, so that's why ellipse kind of look like this. And when we subdivide, like where should be this line, right? Like major axis for subdivision. It should be on ellipse or on a square. See, kind of like interesting trick. So, and it should be on a square. So let's see. We have 3, 4, right? So this go to vanishing point. This go to vanishing point. So this way, kind of this subdivision for a wheel disc, for example, will be proper, because we have this surface in perspective this way, right? So while ellipse will give us, it's kind of, will have this like its own degree, like properties of ellipse showing its degree, but this subdivision should be within perspective, not within ellipse. So this kind of interesting trick. Hello, pen, top field. Yeah, absolutely. So everybody, I always say everybody should buy this book. Так, okay. So, and then we have this like fifth way how to subdivide. So here was I show like 1, 2, 3. No, so it will be fourth. Also, okay. Also, let's demonstrate this number 1, which is like very easy. Right, we have ellipse. And now we have these points. You can do it like inside. Cube. So you see, cube already give you like minor axis. It will be this. Так. So for this ellipse, minor axis will be this. So it's also like perspective grid. And for this one, minor axis will be this direction. So, and then, so here what we have corners, we have middle points. So we can subdivide ellipse. Okay, so here we have this like 45-degree subdivision, and this was I already showed. So same, it can be like any type of, any kind of situation. This can be again like cube. So then in a cube we just subdivide it. You have these points. Then you connect dots, and now you have subdivisions. And top graphite. When drawing cylinder tube wheel, minor axis is a shorter. Yeah, minor axis, it's a shorter center line, because like ellipse have two center lines, right? So long and short, they're subdividing ellipse symmetrically into equal parts. So short line subdivide going through center, subdivide into these two halves. Long going through center, subdivided into like this, like long halves, right? Together they subdivided in quarters. So short one, it's a minor axis. That's why it's called minor. And the long one, it's a major. So it's longer, so it's a name as a major. Okay. So here, another one. So here he's given this example, which I myself, like I've been always lazy using this kind of stuff, because I prefer like this approaches I showed before. Because like here, how many subdivisions we have? It's like two. Yeah, it's like 45 and with one more subdivision, so I can just eyeball it. But if you want to understand what he's doing here, look. So here is he was talking about kind of relationship between major and minor axis. Remember, I say it's a 90-degree angle, right? So once you know angle of minor axis, you immediately know what angle will be major axis. So major axis always will be 90-degree. Always will be 90-degree to minor axis. So here, you see what he say, you have like this tracks. So we have, let's say, z-axis here, this kind of perspective grid, this kind of situation, and let's say this will be x-axis, right? So kind of drawing tracks, and you want to make to round this like a circle, right? So it will be so you kind of place square here, so inside this square will be an ellipse, so then you have okay, it's just simple pen. This point, put it to z-axis, and this curve you kind of project here. So, and let's say here will be your angle for track. So let's say we kind of have this construction, right? This z-axis will be direction for minor axis. So it's like on a flat paper, on this like flat surface, screen or paper, it will be like an angle, right? So we have this angle. So if I draw through kind of ellipse, we'll draw the z-axis, kind of like an axle piercing through a circle, right? So now I have this let's say angle, and all I need is two-dimensional. Like for this line I will do right now, I need to forget it's 3D. Now I look at this as 2D. So what will be 2D 90-degree line for this line? It will be about this, right? So 90-degree. So this will be a major axis for this ellipse. Okay. So this here, I don't know if you see. Going towards the vanishing point. This is a minor axis. So yeah, it looks very long, but inside ellipse, it's a minor axis. So, and then will look like, oh, so this will be major axis, 90-degree. So, and this what Scott Robertson talking about. So you read again and you will understand. So now I just, with my example, I think it will be very clear. He say we need this major axis. So here he project this major axis, okay? And to create subdivision on this projection with the same angle, so you see it's the same angle minor axis, same angle major axis. But using this minor and major axis, he drew a circle without squeezing it. So it's no angle. He drawing half circle here. So it's a perfect half circle like this, right? So this kind of how it works here. Like I extend it, yeah, extend, so we know what size of this circle. It's just like a little sloppy. And I project this major. So now only like if here it's in perspective, here I draw is like a half square, right? So I can make it like a square, but for subdivision I need only half. So it's 2/4 of a square. So, and now what I have this square, so I can have this like 45 degree. Actually, like with this 2D projection now, right, I can put anywhere I want. So I say like, oh, maybe I want it here, or maybe it's just absolutely random, because point of this approach, it's just to project point from anywhere inside this curve. So if I place it here, so I just transfer it through the axis. Now it's here. If I place, no, it's like here. So I even don't know what exactly angle it is or whatever. I just know from like zero perspective, this where it is. This how how it's placed on a circle. And now we transfer it inside perspective. So we will see like how it will look within perspective. So it will be here. And like, okay, this point here, transfer, say, oh, okay. This point here, transfer, so it's here. So now with this thing, right, just make as many points as you want. Now you up and drop it. You have new projected point. So this is what he's showing here. And he write about this. So I just hope now this example will be more clear. Так. Also, then we have this thing, right? Again, it's just explaining and demonstrating again this principle of minor, major, and XYZ. So you see, it's kind of like interplay with these principles, kind of how you using them. So, and I have also a video kind of called like how to rotate in perspective, and there are like many nuances, very interesting stuff. So let's see. So what he's showing here. So let's say this will be center of the ellipse. So now I place a circle on this surface, right? So, and I already know because this circle will be on the surface, so this line indicates direction for my minor axis. So it means, again, like this minor axis, I need to remember, like, ellipse. It's kind of, you see this tricky object, because ellipse itself is two-dimensional. It's symmetrical two-dimensional object, but in same time it's inside 3D space, right? So it's some of its two-dimensional elements, they belong to 3D space. This elements is points and major and minor axis. So here we have minor axis. So it's part of 3D space. It's x-axis. But for my ellipse, it's in relation, like two-dimensional relation with a major axis with 90 degree. So when I find major axis for ellipse, I ignore three-dimensionality and I just draw it. Like if I don't know about 3D space at all, I just make 90 degree line, perpendicular line to this line. So then let's say I can draw, again, I don't look perspective, I just draw two-dimensional structure. I just need this like equal subdivided ellipse. So minor axis subdivided in half, major axis subdivided in half, and they together subdivided in quarters, like absolutely equal quarters. I kind of like attempt draw it this way. So it's also this kind of skill of drawing ellipses. It's doing this process in your head. So every time you draw ellipse, you make 90 degree and you reaching for this symmetrical design, kind of, right? So you want to make sure here is 4 equal, 2 and 2 equal parts. So whatever degree ellipse you're doing, so I can do like other degree, and I try again make it like 2 equal parts. Let's say, right? I do like more squeeze ellipse. Again, it should be symmetrical. So this is kind of a skill. This kind of more you draw it, more it's like you train your brain to do this calculation very fast. So it's kind of like start to, like in the Terminator, remember if you watch Terminator 2, he walk in a bar and he walk people and it's like dun dun dun, measure everything. So this way you also look and you see like your brain's like do 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 do, measures like is there equal, this equal. So like do 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 do, like calculation like very quickly happen in your head. At first time it's very slow, but after some practice you'll get this ability, so your brain will like kind of measure everything. So here I make this ellipse. It's on a surface, but when I've been drawing it as 2D form. Also, again, let's draw. So here I have my 3D object in 3D space. Right, so we have this x-axis, y-axis, right, and z-axis, like this. So because ellipse line on this surface, I already know, again, this is minor axis. So major axis will go again like at this second. When I will find major axis, I forget it's 3D. Like I off 3D mode and now I see only 2D mode and I only see this line. and I say, okay, to this line, like if there only this line, right? I need to make perpendicular line. So this will be major axis. So this kind of like focus you train into is very important to be able inside like many lines on your paper, all this like 3D colors, whatever, you need to be able like, to focus, to like exclude everything you don't need and focus on like, okay, this 2D line on the paper, mark, and I make perpendicular line to this line. You know, it's this kind of, it's really, it's like a skill, because 3D form is distracting me at this point. But also in this case, what I have one more parameter. I want make sure ellipse will be contact this edge here. So this will be, it should be edge of ellipse here. And I can say like, okay, and I want the ellipse kind of be, edge of ellipse be here, right? So now I say, okay, to make sure I will do it properly, I will keep major axis in mind. So, and I will see, like, I will try just draw ellipse going through these points. And now, like I was showing here, now I want to draw this ellipse in a way so this minor axis subdivide my ellipse in the halves, right? So it's okay, kind of this. So we have two equal parts now. Again, it's 2D, right? I draw this ellipse 2D, but it's a kind of like surreal meeting. This 2D object met in the points, just in the two dots, it's met 3D reality. Okay, so now when I draw this sequence, which is just more convenient practically, right? I have ellipse now, which is like divided by minor axis. And if I want, I can find major axis for this ellipse. I say it will be here. Okay. Так. So, and then, yeah, so then he show like another ellipse on this surface, right? So we have, now we have this surface, right? And we know this surface is tilted. And this kind of interesting, like how do you know what angle of this surface? For understand angle of this surface, like angle, okay, here we know it's like this. So if we draw y-axis through our ellipse, so this y-axis will make this mark on a circle, on an ellipse, so it's like 90 degree, let's say mark, right? But angle of this surface is like this, right? So we know how it goes. But how about perpendicular? So if I want to draw ellipse here, так, so let me show example. Oh, I just draw ellipse, right? What problem with this way is I don't know exactly where is my minor axis, because this kind of lines, right? It's my x axis here. X is fine. This one, its direction is kind of some kind of z slash. It's direction of this surface, which have this angle, like 100 maybe degree, right? Okay, so we have x and z slash. But for my minor axis, I need to know exactly direction of a third dimension, like perpendicular to this surface. Because remember, ellipse, it should be like a wheel on an axle. So what is direction of my axle here? So it should be 90 degree to this. And this is why this ellipse here helps, because we have this direction, right? And if we subdivide ellipse perpendicularly, so let's see. You see, for this, so perpendicular here, it will be our minor axis. So this minor axis is a 90 degree to surface. So you see, and now he using this minor axis based on this angle he show here to draw this ellipse. Так, so direction of minor axis, and I say and now I have like 4 points here. So just trying to place this ellipse like this. Так. So let's see here. Так. Так. Okay. So this direction is like a major axis. So then here will be minor axis. And now we have this like on a paper, two-dimensionally, we have this direction. Now we can use it as a minor axis for circle on a surface. This. Так. That should be more here. Second. Okay, so here we have this left side of a box, say. So here are like 0 degree direction. So if I draw, it's so here it's z axis, and here it's x axis. So I can see. So if I draw this way, so we have this like vertical direction. Then I can choose with this ellipse, I can use this ellipse to choose exact degree, right? So if I do this subdivision like I showed before, so it will be like 45 degree, right? So if I now using this direction, so now I will have surface which is 45 degree. If I more subdivide it in half, so it will be like 22 and a half or 67 and a half. But let's say keep it 45, for example. So if I keep it 45 here, then perpendicular will be from this corner to this corner. So now we have perpendicular. So this surface angle will work as a major axis for ellipse. And perpendicular to table surface, which is a 90 degree perpendicular, will be minor axis. So, and you see here with the transfer in this angle, I treat it as a 2D. So we have these two lines as a two-dimensional lines, and I'm looking for this angle. Okay. So, already. Yeah. And then we can put it inside square. So we have x-axis. And this surface. Line axis here. So we can use make other angle. So let's see. So again, z x так. So here we have 90 degree. Yeah, let's say if I use this approach, I subdivide to 30 degree. So I will do like table angle 30 degree to vertical. So here y-axis vertical, it's like 0, and angle to this 0 will be 30 degree surface. Так. So now we make here also subdivide. Now we have this 30 degree here, which will be our minor axis, 90 degree perpendicular to table surface. So we have this minor. Or I can take my circle here, set of circles. So you see this, it's a minor and this is major, right? So how to use this stuff with the circles? It's once you find minor axis and you think, okay, like what is the angle of this thing? So here's kind of 45, but I don't have 45 circle. Let's, I have, yeah, okay, so this 45 circles. Так. So now I place a circle with these minor axis points aligning with my minor axis lines. Right, so these 2 points was aligned with this line. And also with this tool, I can find, it show me exactly where will be major axis, right, these 2 points. Okay, so we have this ellipse now. So you see, it's like when you draw a vehicle, and Scott Robertson, he shows this in a video. If you buy his book, he have video where he demonstrate actually this stuff. So you have this like a z axis, right? And to draw wheel, you place this minor axis. Here. So the farther wheel will be smaller. Maybe it's too far. Certified. Okay, so or maybe even smaller, like yeah, okay. So again, I have minor axis, right? So I align with these points, and I also can have major axis. So here I have the wheels for a vehicle. Так. So basically, that's it. So here also, again, you see, same way of subdivision. So we have major, we have minor, then he transferred here. Here he drew like half circle, like half square, and subdivided. But I don't like this way of subdivision with projection. I like, you just, you want to subdivide staircase, this circle staircase. Just draw square in perspective. Subdivide the square. Right, so now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 threads, right? If you want more than 8, okay, you can subdivide it this way. So now you have like 30-degree step. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It should be 9, I think. Anyway. So very convenient. Even better than Scott Robertson approach, because it's too boring. Like, will you really like draw this boring stuff just to find points? Так. Okay. Okay. So kind of this, I hope it's kind of clarify everything about the ellipses. So again, it's kind of serious to help people get through Scott Robertson books, so it will not take 10 years for you. You can do it faster, right? So anyway, what you should do is to buy this book. You must have it at home for sure. Like absolutely necessary. Nice. Okay. Yeah, also onto reverse. We're asking about videos about rotating cylinders. Yeah, see, I mean, cylinders is just about making like two Kranz cube together. Kind of this. You just make, so it's like we have one Kranz cube and you just kind of extend it, right? So here you make ellipse, and there is like, if you make transparent, kind of, you will have other ellipse. So you have two ellipse with different degree, but they are on the same minor axis. So kind of drawing cylinder, it's a drawing ellipses on the same minor axis with a different degree. And I don't know, it's not so important. It's at some point you just draw, I don't know, you draw kind of right angles, right? So you kind of, if you just practice like intuitive perspective, so you will have kind of fluently will be able to draw right angles. It's because right angles give you clear idea of surfaces and angles, right? So you know, like this is top surface, this is side, and this kind of front, right? So side, top, front. And then you can convert it to cylinder. That's it. And there is a way how to practice doing like cylinders perfectly, but it's so unnecessary. It's like, I don't know when you need to draw them perfect. So I think it will be like kind of redundant, like too much attention to cylinders. So you will able to draw cylinders just after doing this exercise with drawing ellipses and drawing cubes, and just draw more in perspective. And like as a side effect, your cylinders will be good. So because like I cannot make good performance showing you drawing perfect cylinders, because I never have such intention to kind of study cylinders to demonstrate how to draw proper cylinder. Like, who needs this? So, and yeah, like if you draw like car, yeah, it's kind of like you draw cylinders for wheels, but it's always very sloppy, kind of. It's like kind of this, right? So we have like one wheel here, we have one wheel here. So I don't know, I just feel it's too boring and not interested in make a video about cylinders. I will think about it. Okay. Yeah, I think so. If like what was my insight for me, and I mention it a lot in my videos about drawing environments, drawing camera angles, is that, there is certain kind of direction, like how you progress, right? So it's like when you absolutely beginner, a total beginner stage, yeah, you really need to do this like straight lines, trying to intersect them through one point, just to start to build this very first neural network, very first like kind of muscle memory, just to be able, at least you should be able control your hand to draw like straight line, also to kind of understand your own anatomy, right? Like which muscle you will use when you draw, like like if you draw like this, yeah, it will be always curve. So what should you do? Like, oh, I will move like my arm here, or I will move paper and like keep my. It's like, so you kind of through doing it more and more and more, you better get it how it work better for you. So Scott Robertson say here is like he finds that for him, it's like I think he says this kind of movement, like 45-degree movement, is the best. So every time he draws straight line, he actually rotate paper and he makes same movement again and again, So in this case, practice with straight lines will be just refining same movement. Make sure you will perform it like this technique you will perform every time way you want it to be. So it's kind of literally like Bruce Lee saying about like practice one punch, right? So, but then of course you will like in a couple days, in the weeks, it will be like, yeah, I need to move forward, right? So then kind of instead of became like super genius master and drawing straight lines for all your life, you start to draw like vanishing points, right? So now you feel why you need straight lines, because you need your lines arrive to vanishing point, right? You need this kind of solid structure. So you kind of now have like more interest and entertaining way to practice straight lines. And same with ellipses. Yeah, like you go in, then you do ellipses on themselves, just only ellipses on their own. And very quick, it's became boring because just drawing ellipses, and it's like it can take forever because you can say like, oh, I still don't have 100% perfect ellipse. Why focus so much on it? It's like it will be overkill. You don't need actually perfect ellipses. So in the beginning, after doing some exercise with just drawing ellipses, these minor, major lines, like you draw a couple pages like this with ellipses everywhere, like 100, maximum, let's say. And then you say like, yeah, should I like start to draw something which is make practical sense? Like lets me draw cars, and now using my kind of skill, ability to draw ellipses or motorcycles, right? So I will draw kind of wheels and stuff. So, and it's still kind of like every time you draw wheel, it's like your practice drawing ellipse actually, right? But it's just more fun. And it's more connected to reality. So you can see like how much you can like how much wrong you can make it and nobody will notice. So it will kind of also a little give you some ease, you know. No. So I mean, same with kind of cylinders. Like I don't think I find it's kind of no interesting to practice cylinders. So after practice some ellipses, I just go in directly to draw some real stuff like vehicles. So let's say if I have some weird motorcycle with kind of cylinder form, maybe it's like steampunk, right? Okay, so now I practice drawing ellipses because cylinders, because I need them, or like fork, right? So I have front fork, so here I have two cylinders because it's fun. Yeah, I like to draw motorcycle, so it will be fun to draw cylinder for motorcycle. You know. So, or here, maybe I want this rear fork to be like two cylinders, right? So, and again, drawing this like, it's like Flintstone motorcycle. Because every time I draw cylinder, I just doing this exercise actually, right? So I have minor axis and I need to draw this like symmetrically divided circle. And I try to eyeball what kind of ellipse degree should it be. So if they equal, or maybe this will be like little bigger and this will be smaller, like in such perspective, like how they will change. So you see here I draw it little bigger, they have same minor axis, but this one he's like little smaller, kind of this. And then if I'm not sure, I can double check them with squares, right? So I put square, I say, okay, where's my okay, seems kind of realistic. So same this one. I can check my ellipses degree with the squares. Yeah. So again, you know, like we should be also be like little like self psychologists or managers. Yeah, because I don't like psychology, right? So be like own manager and learn your own behavior. So when you're naughty, you say like, okay, don't be little kid, like grow up, focus, do your job and stuff, right? But sometimes it's not just naughty, sometimes it's just like human condition. Like you cannot be a robot, right? So you say like, yeah, I cannot just get to this stage when I just perform every technical aspect perfectly. And like, do I really need this? Actually not. So you kind of balance with this. And when like we have like very abstract exercise, like a drawing perspective grids or drawing cubes, they're so abstract, so you can expect, like, for you, it will be boring at certain point. If you will like keep practice cubes like 1 million times, like they will be your nightmare. You will throw up, from every time you see cube. So kind of like also keep it balanced. Don't be like kind of unreasonable, right? So learn to be your own manager. So when you see it's kind of, yeah, I understand, I did it a couple times, now I need to learn how to implement, how to see how it works, because every time you will implement this knowledge, so every time you make a drawing with perspective grid, you practice perspective grid, right? So it's like same exercise actually. But now it's much better because you also develop skill how to make illustration, how to draw certain scene, stuff like this. So it's better actually, right? So same ellipses. Yeah, you do this practice, but then go and draw wheels, go and draw cars and stuff. So and then it will be your ellipse practice. But in same time, it's not like you should not do only ellipse exercise. It can be your morning warm-up, or sometimes when you feel like, oh, something wrong, you can again go back and review ellipses or any very basic stuff. So just kind of this. So we have this so many parameters to track. And U is this like complex system. Imagine it's like, okay, let's say like maybe like you're a wrestler, or like how they have this judo or jiu-jitsu, and maybe you think like, oh, your grip not strong enough, so you make some extra routine for you to only train your grip, right? So like you keep going to your regular training when you train, like doing all this stuff, like what they do, like throwing people, grabbing and stuff. And then also as a bonus, you in a gym or somewhere at home, you train your like hand muscles to develop stronger grip. So you just like make it progress faster, kind of, right? So same kind of with ellipses. If you feel like you want to kind of little more improve your ellipses, you can go back and draw little more ellipses. So it just totally should be not rigid. There is not like program, like a code, so like do exactly this, and it in the result you will be perfect in drawing ellipses. No, it's only work like some kind of motivation, like like a simple answer to make you like give you command. Yeah, if we make it like a command and say like, hey, do exactly this, then it's fine. But of course it's not kind of true. Okay, anyway. Thank you for watching. See you later.